A bar without structure is like a cocktail without balance. You might get lucky once, but try repeating it and you will taste the chaos. Welcome. This is Bar Manager's Notebook. Hi, I'm Lorenzo Rocci and welcome back to Episode 2. Today we're going to talk about something that might sound boring when instead it's something that keeps your bar very much alive. Structure, systems, SOPs. All things that makes the difference between a bar that is fun to work in from one that burns people out. But let's dive in together. Let's start simple. A bar runs in two big halves, front of house and back of house. Front of house, it's barback, bartender, servers, host, bar manager. Back of house is kitchen team, prep team, dishwashers, and sometimes even the receiving team. Each one has its own flow, and when they don't flow together, then the entire operation will suffer. We're going to dive a bit more into the front of house stuff and in the specific the bar structure. The bar structure is often seen as from the barback all the way up to a bar manager in a sort of a pyramid that goes that way as a hierarchical structure. From how I see it, it's completely the opposite. We as a bar manager have the role, we have the duty to enable every single position to get their best out of them. And to do so, we have to create a good structure where we do see all our team members with extreme importance to enable us to do the best job too, because our result is directly proportional of how good we are to enable them and bring the result, right? So in my case, as I said, I see it completely on this opposite way, where the barbacks are on the top and bar managers at the bottom. Barbacks are our engine room, are the people that work behind the scene. They clean our fridges, they keep our bar stocked, they bring the ice to your well. They're unsung heroes of our bars. Then you have bartenders. Bartenders execute, they're there to put in connection the guests, they're there to keep our standard flowing. And then you have lead bartender. Lead bartender are the one that support, they know when to jump in right away on the station, how to support without even being seen sometimes. And then also they tie the ship together, they make sure that the flow is correct, they keep the morale up, they make sure that each one, even on the dead moment, the slow moment, they know what to do and guide everybody that might need guidance. And then you have obviously bar manager. They're there to make sure that they look after the staff. They make sure to create the standards and the operative procedures. They're there to lead the team and obviously own the result. Not only own the result, even here I see in a little bit different way. The job is not to just take the credit for everything that happened to the bar that is good. It's completely opposite. Just share all the credits with everyone else. And also shield the team when it's needed because something goes wrong. You're there also to shield them and protect them. Now, there's a difference between protecting people and and not making them accountable. So that one is a fine line, but we'll talk about it on a different episode. The core of what I was discussing is that the most important thing is clarity. Each position, each person that works with us, almost regardless now from the bar, but in general, needs to know where their job starts and where it ends. And here as well, a word of advice. It doesn't mean that, oh, cool, I have to do from here to here and that's it. No, you also as individual, as a bartender, barback, and so on and so forth, if you have disposable time and you want to support others, I definitely encourage you to do so, because this is also how you grow, how you learn. But in terms of your specific job, you need to know which one are your roles and which one is the expectation, and that is also for an accountability purpose and make sure that you also cover for yourself. And as a bar manager, it's just to give clear, direct guidelines. Let me also tell you a little bit a small example that happened to me in the past. We had a cellar where we had all our kegs that were connected to the tap, to the beer tap, and we haven't specified who was supposed to help with these kegs once they were finished, where to place them. So they start pass by, and those kegs, they start piling up inside the cellar. And the thing is, it wasn't because of just, laziness and like people just didn't want to do. It's just that they didn't know who was the job. So obviously once we rectified it, that got solved. But that's to tell you how important it is to have a structure and have clarity on the roles. And now let's talk about systems. Systems are what makes your life and your job easier. Those are repeatable actions that can keep your bar consistent even on dark times when, for example, stuff changes. That's when SOP comes in. Those are generally written or well-documented way to perform tasks. And I want to give you some example because I wrote so many SOPs, and I want to show you a couple of examples. They're going to appear here on the screen. So this is an example of like an opening procedures. So I made it also with timing because I need to be, for example, in a time crunch before my bar open, and pretty much what the time should be to perform that specific task. There's obviously requisition, there's the FIFO, there's all those things, right? But that's pretty much how you wanted to have it: clear, simple, just a few lines, doesn't have to be a Bible, and pretty much on a page. But there's also instances where you might need to tell a task a little bit more into a deeper level because maybe you don't have enough time to train everybody, and that's when it comes in other type of SOP, and I'll show you. This is a step-by-step guide, for example, on how to clean your coffee machine, and I wrote it for the busser team so that they knew how to go through and clean the coffee machine. And this is exactly what I mean by that. The beauty of the SOP is that anybody can step in at any time and perform a specific task. Now, on top of that, they can do it with confidence. They most likely will get the job done for 99% of the time, correctly, because there's a guideline. It will help you reduce the miscommunication and the inconsistencies sometimes, because they're well documented, as we said. Not only that, it will also allow you to free some of your time for real problem. And on top of that, not answering over and over and over to the same questions. Here another word of advice for what concerns SOPs. If your SOPs don't kick in and work perfectly after a Saturday night, for example, during a Saturday night evening, and they fall apart, then you gotta change them. Remember, your SOP, they're not set in stone. They can change, and they should change with time, with the new menus, the new procedure, or how your service is structured. So don't be set in stone and be flexible to change them in order to fit your operation. People often think the system are controlling, but the opposite is true. A good structure gives your team clarity, confidence, autonomy. Not only, it builds accountability. And here I want to divide it in two parts. It gives accountability from a managerial perspective because it tells exactly what task has to be performed, and therefore you can objectively define if the duties have been carried or not. From a bartender or any role perspective, it gives you the perfect platform to work in, because if someone's gonna come to you and say like, oh, you haven't done this, you can always say like, sorry, I did not know that was part of my responsibilities, as we clarified before that this is what I was supposed to do. And therefore it gives you also like a tool from the other side to make yourself accountable or save yourself from an accountability which is not yours in this case. As a manager, going back to that, it gives yourself the accountability to understand if you and your bar are performing to the level that you've set up, and therefore make yourself accountable to tell you like if you're doing or not a good job as a leader as well, and allows you, most importantly, the possibility to rectify it and to get better at it. We are not perfect, and system will allow you to get better and better and better. One of the biggest shifts I've done in my career, it was moving from the person who was doing every single part and fixing and solving every single issues to the person that start building system that solve the problem before that happen. And that is very important. Systems don't make your bar boring, they make it better. Most importantly, they make it scalable. So here's the takeaway. A great bar doesn't happen overnight or just by chance. It's built on a backbone of a clear structure and solid systems. Do you want a calmer shift? Then write better SOP. Do you want a stronger team? Then define your roles. Do you want freedom? Then build a structure that makes your bar run without you. If this episode helped you rethink your structure, then hit like, subscribe, share with your friend. Most importantly, drop me a comment below and tell me what system saved your bar. And in addition, if you want to have a sample of an SOP of opening and closing procedure, just write in capital letter systems and I'll be more than happy to send it to you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.